Imagine waking up in Idiocracy. The president is a former adult film star. The most watched show is just people getting kicked in the crotch. Critical thinking? Gone. Literacy? Optional. Water? Replaced with energy drinks because it's got electrolytes. It was supposed to be a joke, a dumb, over-the-top satire. But look around. Is it still a joke? Because here's the scary part. Idiocracy wasn't even the first to see it coming. Aldous Huxley already warned us decades earlier. Unlike Orwell, who feared a future of oppression and censorship, Huxley feared something far worse, a world where intelligence would simply become irrelevant, where books wouldn't need to be burned because no one would want to read them, where no dictator would be needed because the masses would be too distracted to care. And here we are. Attention spans are collapsing. IQ levels are declining. Entertainment isn't just numbing us, it's programming us. Thinking isn't just discouraged, it's mocked. We are not moving toward idiocracy. We are already in it. But here's the terrifying part. It didn't happen by accident. Huxley didn't just predict this future. He mapped out exactly how it would happen. A world where control wouldn't come from force, but from pleasure. Where people wouldn't need to be silenced because they'd be too busy consuming distractions to care. Where intelligence wouldn't be crushed. It would simply stop being necessary. So today, we're breaking it down, step by step. How we got here, who benefits from keeping us dumb, and, most importantly, if we can still escape. Because while Orwell feared a world of pain, Huxley feared a world of pleasure. And the scary truth? He was right. So now, I invite you to close your eyes, not to escape, but to wake up inside the most seductive nightmare ever built. A world that feels good, tastes sweet, and slowly rots the mind from within. Welcome to Huxley's nightmare and our reality. We spent decades preparing for the wrong nightmare. Orwell made us fear a world of totalitarian control, where books are burned, thoughts are policed, and Big Brother watches your every move. A world of brutal oppression, where truth is forbidden and knowledge is a crime. When people think of dystopia, they picture a boot stomping on a human face forever. But what if the real dystopia wasn't built on fear, but on pleasure? That's what Aldous Huxley understood better than anyone. His vision wasn't about intelligence being crushed under force. It was about intelligence fading into irrelevance. Orwell feared the truth would be hidden from us. Huxley feared the truth would be buried under so much nonsense that we'd stop looking for it. Orwell warned us about pain as a tool of control. Huxley warned us about pleasure as the perfect prison. And here we are, not trapped in Orwell's nightmare, but drowning in Huxley's. We don't live under a ministry of truth that censors information. We don't need to. The truth is still there, buried under an avalanche of fake news, clickbait, celebrity scandals, and viral stupidity. Who needs censorship when people voluntarily ignore anything that requires thinking? Who needs a dictatorship when we are too busy scrolling to notice we're being controlled? In Brave New World, people don't rebel because they never feel the need to. They are conditioned to love their servitude, to chase pleasure, to avoid discomfort at all costs. They aren't oppressed, they are entertained into submission. And the most terrifying part, they think they are free. We don't burn books. We made them irrelevant. We don't silence intellectuals. We drown them under an endless flood of memes, gossip, and outrage cycles. We don't suppress knowledge. We made it impossible to focus long enough to absorb it. The result, worse than we ever imagined. Attention spans have collapsed. The average human focus is now shorter than that of a goldfish. IQ levels are declining. Scientists call it the Flynn effect in reverse. For the first time in modern history, human intelligence is shrinking. We aren't just consuming more information than ever, we are understanding less than ever. Huxley's nightmare wasn't a world where people are forced into submission. It was a world where people willingly embrace their own decline. And this is where Idiocracy picks up the torch. It shows us the endgame of a society that traded intelligence for convenience, depth for speed, thought for entertainment. A world where thinking isn't just discouraged, it's mocked, where intelligence is no longer an advantage, but a liability. The worst part? This future isn't coming, it's already here. But how did we let it happen? How did intelligence go from being a strength to a burden? That's where the real story begins. We are not just getting dumber, we are being engineered into stupidity. In Idiocracy, intelligence doesn't just decline, it becomes irrelevant. Education is a joke, attention spans are non-existent, and critical thinking is mocked. The people running the world are barely literate, but they believe they're the smartest humans to have ever lived. It was supposed to be satire. But today, science confirms what the film exaggerated. We are, in fact, getting dumber. And this isn't some vague conspiracy. IQ levels, which had been rising for decades, are now in free fall. This phenomenon, known as the reverse Flynn effect, has been observed in multiple developed nations. Intelligence isn't just stagnating, it's actively deteriorating. Scientists point to environmental toxins, declining education standards, and, most disturbingly, our digital habits. Because intelligence isn't just about raw brain power, it's about attention, and that's the first thing we lost. Studies confirm that our ability to focus has collapsed. In 2000, the average human attention span was 12 seconds. Today, it's less than 8. The endless flood of short-form content, notifications, and instant gratification has rewired our brains. We struggle to sit through a conversation without checking our phones. We skim headlines instead of reading articles. We consume more information than ever, yet we understand less than ever. But it's not just attention spans that are shrinking. Deep thinking itself is dying. We no longer engage with ideas, we react to them. Everything is designed for speed, forcing complex issues into simplistic sound bites. Social media is not a space for discussion. It's a battlefield for outrage. News isn't about informing, it's about provoking an emotional response. Algorithms aren't designed to make you think, they're designed to keep you scrolling. And this is exactly how intelligence dies, not through force, but through erosion. We aren't taught to engage in difficult thought. Instead, we are fed an endless stream of disposable content. We don't analyze, we skim, we don't process, we consume, we don't question. We reinforce our biases in algorithm-driven echo chambers. And over time, we stop looking deeper. We stop asking questions. We stop thinking at all. Huxley saw this coming decades ago. He warned of a future where entertainment wouldn't just distract us, it would rewire our minds, where people would willingly trade deep thought for passive consumption, where focus, reflection, and critical thinking would be viewed as burdens rather than strengths. And now here we are, attention spans shattered, independent thought replaced by groupthink, a world where intelligence isn't suppressed, it's abandoned. And the worst part, this didn't happen by accident, because the real question is, what if this was done on purpose? And that brings us to the real conspiracy, the one no one talks about. In Idiocracy, intelligence isn't outlawed, it isn't crushed under the weight of a totalitarian regime. It simply fades away, ignored, mocked, replaced by convenience and entertainment. The world doesn't collapse in fire and chaos, it erodes piece by piece as people stop valuing thought. As education becomes an inconvenience, as knowledge is drowned in an ocean of distractions, as critical thinking is reduced to an old-fashioned nuisance. And here's the terrifying part. What if this isn't just happening naturally? What if it's being engineered? Huxley warned us of exactly this future. Unlike Orwell, who feared a world of control through pain, Huxley feared a world of control through pleasure. A really efficient totalitarian state, he wrote, would be one in which the all-powerful executive of political bosses and their army of managers control a population of slaves who do not have to be coerced because they love their servitude. No need for brute force, no need for secret police. Just feed people an endless stream of easy pleasures until they are too numb, too distracted, too entertained to care. And today, that distraction has a name: the TikTok effect. Not just TikTok, but what it represents: the industrialization of stupidity as a business model. The systematic destruction of our ability to think, designed and refined by some of the smartest neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists in the world. You are not just a user, you are a test subject in the largest experiment in cognitive decay ever conducted. Every scroll, every flick of your thumb, every rapid-fire video rewires your brain. Studies show that exposure to ultra-short-form content literally shrinks attention spans. The more you consume, the harder it becomes to focus, to process complex ideas, to sit with a thought before needing the next hit of stimulation. The brain adapts to this new diet of mental fast food. And just like with junk food, the more you consume, the harder it becomes to tolerate anything real. Books feel exhausting, long conversations feel tedious, deep thought feels unnatural. And here's the real kicker: the people who designed this system know exactly what they're doing. The infinite scroll wasn't a happy accident. It was a meticulously crafted trap. The same psychological principles used to keep gamblers glued to slot machines now keep billions of people glued to their screens. Every pixel, every algorithm, every dopamine hit has been engineered to keep you engaged, predictable, and profitable. You are not the customer. You are the product. Your time, your focus, your very capacity to think, monetized, parceled out, sold to the highest bidder. And the consequences, measurable, undeniable, catastrophic. IQ levels are declining for the first time in modern history. The average attention span has plummeted below that of a goldfish. Our ability to think critically, to analyze, to resist manipulation, all in free fall. The great irony? The very people who claim to be connecting the world are the ones making deep connection impossible. The platforms designed to inform are making real knowledge irrelevant. And the corporations that tell you they're helping you stay engaged are the ones training you to be mentally incapable of engagement. Huxley saw this coming nearly a century ago. He warned that the most effective way to control a population wasn't to suppress knowledge, but to bury it in trivia. People will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. And here we are. We don't burn books, we just make them irrelevant. We don't need government censors. People are too distracted to care. We don't need dystopian overlords. Just a never-ending supply of dopamine and outrage to keep everyone too busy, too angry, too numb to resist. In Idiocracy, this process is complete. The government is run by celebrities. Science is dismissed as elitist nonsense. Critical thinking is mocked. Society isn't oppressed, it's entertained into submission. And today, the parallels are impossible to ignore. Thinking too much. You're overcomplicating things, asking deep questions. You're taking life too seriously, trying to understand the world. Just scroll to the next video. You'll forget about it in 10 seconds anyway. This is not an accident. This is not an unfortunate byproduct of modern technology. This is a system working exactly as designed. We are not being controlled. We are being distracted. We are not being silenced. We are being overwhelmed. We are not being enslaved. We are being sedated. And just like in Idiocracy, it's happening so gradually, so invisibly, that most people don't even see it. But now you do. And the real question isn't just how we got here, it's whether we can still fight back, because if we don't, we already know how this story ends. Huxley didn't just warn us about the descent into stupidity, he showed us the way out. His vision wasn't just a dystopian prediction, it was a test, a challenge to see if, despite the distractions, the pacification, and the engineered erosion of thought, we could still resist. But resistance in Brave New World was never about revolution. There was no grand uprising, no moment of collective awakening. Because the real battle wasn't against an external force, it was against comfort itself, against the seduction of a world that offers infinite pleasure, infinite ease, infinite distraction at the cost of our ability to think, to challenge, to grow. And that is exactly the world we live in today. In Idiocracy, there is no great dictator, no evil mastermind pulling the strings. There is just a civilization that gradually, imperceptibly let itself rot. People didn't fight for their intelligence. They let it go, piece by piece, until it was too late to bring it back. And if we don't act now, that's exactly where we're headed. So how do we escape? How do we pull ourselves back from the brink of total intellectual collapse? Huxley's answer was simple, but brutal. We have to choose difficulty over ease. We have to reclaim our ability to think, to focus, to engage with reality beyond the dopamine-fueled distractions that keep us passive. That means breaking free from the algorithms designed to control our attention. It means shutting off the endless noise and choosing silence. It means rejecting the sugar-coated version of the world we're being fed and doing the hard work of confronting reality. Because if you can't focus, you can't resist. If you can't think, you can't question. And if you can't question, you are already lost. That's why intelligence is an act of defiance. In a world that celebrates ignorance, choosing to think is revolutionary. Huxley warned us that the future wouldn't need to take away our books. We would stop reading them willingly. The antidote to this isn't nostalgia for the past, nor some futile wish for society to reverse course. The antidote is you, the individual who refuses to be swept away by the tide of distraction, the person who chooses knowledge over ease. That's why the real resistance doesn't happen in the streets. It happens in your mind. It happens every time you read something that challenges you instead of swiping to the next mindless post. It happens when you pause before reacting, before letting yourself be consumed by the latest manufactured outrage. It happens when you step outside the noise and reclaim your ability to think for yourself. Because the future isn't set. We are still writing it. We are not just witnessing a cultural decline. We are living through an extinction of thought, of depth, of independent minds. And the most terrifying part, no one needed to take our intelligence from us. We handed it over willingly, one distraction at a time. We stopped reading, we stopped questioning, we stopped paying attention. We traded knowledge for convenience, critical thinking for outrage, wisdom for entertainment. And now here we are, on the edge of idiocracy, staring into the abyss, wondering how we got here. But if history has taught us anything, it's this. The world has always belonged to those who refused to follow the herd, the ones who saw what others couldn't, the ones who thought when everyone else was too busy consuming, the ones who resisted, and that's exactly what this is, a resistance, not with weapons, not with protests, but with something far more dangerous, a mind that refuses to be controlled. Every time you read instead of scroll, you are resisting. Every time you question instead of react, you are resisting. Every time you step outside the algorithm and think for yourself, you are resisting. This is not just about avoiding stupidity. This is about preserving intelligence in a world that wants to erase it. And if we don't fight for it, no one else will. Huxley warned us that the greatest prison is the one you don't realize you're in, but now you see it. And that means you have a choice. Keep sleepwalking through idiocracy, or wake up and reclaim your mind. The battle for intelligence is not coming. It's already here. And in this fight, your greatest weapon is your ability to think. I will be here week after week, doing my part, sharing ideas, exploring the minds of those who came before us, trying, at my humble level, to awaken a few more consciousnesses before it's too late. But in the end, no one can save you but yourself. Intelligence is a muscle. It dies if you don't use it. So use it. Question, read, think, seek truth, not comfort. No one will fight this battle for you. You have to fight for your own mind. If you refuse to go quietly into the age of stupidity, if you believe intelligence is still worth something like this video, drop a comment and share it before the algorithms bury it. Because in a world that wants you numb, distracted, and passive, spreading real ideas is an act of defiance. Stay sharp, stay curious, and never stop thinking.